We were talking about.
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
Hey,
good
Ryan.
morning,
Hey,
Ryan. How are you?
Half awake.
I'm not.
That's how.
I just don't feel that good.
Don't
Oh,
yeah. Oh
yeah. You don't
no.
sound it. You don't sound it.
Oh,
Yeah.
what
That's
do you
all
got? You sound. Is it flu kind of symptoms or what? What's going on?
Last night at dinner, and this happens every time I start getting really strict with my diet. Last night at dinner,
right.
after my second round of vegetables, I started to get a sore throat.
Oh.
And so like when I go into like a heavy detox, like my body will get symptoms of like it's getting sick.
Yep. The rebound
But
effect.
it's not really getting sick. But it feels like I'm sick, so it sucks.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm probably gonna have to do a sauna today, and
Oh, good. Oh, nice. Yeah,
stuff
nice.
like
Yeah,
that.
detoxing is tough. It's sometimes
It
it's
is tough.
the speed that you're detoxing too that affects it. Yeah.
What's that?
The speed that you detox too can have an effect on the
Yeah.
severity of it. But yeah, something like the sauna would be fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah, this program we do is so crazy. It's like you detox so quick if you actually do it, So yeah, it can be scary sometimes because you can have really weird symptoms.
Yeah. Whose program do you follow?
It's a doctor in Arizona. His name's Dr. Wilson.
Wilson.
And it's called the Development Program.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really fascinating. And it's hard to do it. I'll just say that. Like, for me, it's hard to do. I'm getting better at it, but it just takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah. So does he gradually take you off of dairy and then gluten and little by little and sugar, or do you just do it all at once?
All at once. Now, but that's up to you, really. Like, it's so it's up to you, like what pace you want to go. So basically he makes recommendations,
Mm-hmm.
and you can integrate any part of the program into your life as you choose, but the whole goal is to do the whole program, but a lot of people can't do it because you can't really have a normal lifestyle if you really want to do it. I mean, I say that meaning you can't work a full-time job like a regular person, because it takes so much time and so much resting, and so it's a whole lifestyle change, really.
So is it a month detox program, or how
Oh,
long?
it's your whole life.
It's your life, yeah, but
Yes.
but you cannot never work full time.
Well, yeah, you can work full time, but I guess this program it's a lot different. It's not just like a health program. It's specifically designed for deep level development.
Okay.
You're just gonna have to look into it because
Yeah, I
it's
will.
hard.
I will.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah, no, I'll check
It's
it out.
different. It's different than anything I've ever come across.
Yeah, I've never heard of it in all the years I've been around it. Yeah, Dr.
Yeah,
Wilson.
there's only about 2,000 people that do it in the world, I think. Just because it's so radical.
Yeah.
It's really radical. Anyways, so that's why I'm not feeling good.
All right.
But at least you're used to it somewhat, so.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
You've done it before. Yeah.
Yeah, and my job, is
physical.
flexible, so.
Yeah. But your job is also very physical too. I mean,
it is
and physically, physically.
It is. Eventually, that's gonna change. I think so.
It has to.
Yeah.
Good.
Naturally.
Very cool. All right. So let's go through your notes. On. Let's start with the repeat backs. I'm very keen to hear.
So this is the notes that I've taken. So I guess just creating new habits is really like, I need to really focus on how to even, and this is been my problem my whole life. There's things I want to do and there's new habits I want to form, but I have a hard time even doing it. So like what I need to just get more organized, I feel like, with my thought life. So I do pretty good with physical activity, and I feel like this is a kind of inherited thing. Like my dad's kind of like this, where his thought life is very sporadic and kind of scattered, where he goes really quickly. He gets things done, but it's a little chaotic, maybe. And I kind of bounce back and forth between being like him and being like my mother, which she was really organized and thorough and things like that with her thoughts. And my dad is like the opposite. And so this is what's come up a lot for me, is power living. My father, I don't think he lives powerfully, even though like he runs a business. Like he runs a business, he has money. Like it seems like he's successful on the outside, but his thoughts are like very chaotic and they're scattered and they're not organized. But I'm like that too.
You were like that. You were like that.
I've been like that. Not all the time, which is interesting.
Changing.
So for me, this is very just foundational stuff, which I've been working on this, what I need to do. And it's just to get more organized really with my thoughts. Like I thought I've been organized, but then I look through my stuff and I'm like, my handwriting's sloppy. The way I take notes is just like I've been writing stuff down, but it's just really sloppy looking. And I know it sounds like simple stuff, but like,
it's not.
So I wrote down one, I need to write down takeaways from my session. This is what I initially feel about the session. That's just simple stuff. 2, construct my repeat backs from going over my takeaways, share with the group. 3, develop a power dictionary. Very simple.
Dictionary of power.
But this is, I'm already doing these things, but I'm just saying I need to organize these sections a bit better. Write down
very cool.
personal and
Brian, on the repeat backs and the takeaways, do them slide by slide.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and the repeat
and
back,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. The repeat back is not of your notes. The repeat back is of what the slide is about. It sounded the way you said it. Okay. All right. Just to clarify. All right.
But I guess my thoughts, like I go through things very quickly. Like I have this habit of filtering through information very rapidly. So I don't take the time to just sit and meditate on it.
Exactly. That's the point of doing it slide by slide.
Right.
And it is the immersion that we're after. There's not a speed on this. There's not a go through it at any set schedule. No, it is the immersion, getting inside it. So when you do it slide by slide, you do the repeat back. It forces you to really get inside the content. And then it starts connecting to what's important to you. And this is what we offer. It's that thinking it through to the end. This is what's important. And then you take away what is valuable to you. That's the takeaway. And then you it gets condensed in the dictionary of power.
I feel like I do it too quickly sometimes and I can miss things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Um,
yes, you do it too quickly, and yes, you do miss things. So you're quite correct on that.
Yeah. But each one of those takeaways, the repeat backs, the
mhm,
dictionary of power, making
mhm.
them separate entities really reinforces what you're learning in so many different ways, by speaking it, by writing it, by typing it,
Right.
you know.
I
And I don't
think,
know, are you
well,
writing by hand, or are you doing it on the computer when you do
I'm
your?
writing by hand and then I'm transferring it to the computer
Yes,
because
that's
I
the
don't,
best.
I'm,
That's the best.
Yeah.
and I guess I need to realize, like, this takes a lot of work.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, it's just a big investment in time and energy. Oh, it's just a lot of work.
Hmm.
I guess I
Absolutely.
didn't really understand like how much work
Yeah.
this is.
Oh, this
Hmm.
is a
And
huge.
I've always hated writing, and still we've talked about this before,
Yeah.
but I'm learning to love writing.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
it's
Yes.
this is a
Yes.
very difficult habit for me to start. I'm just saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
quick point
Um,
on habits. There is later in, uh, there's pretty much a whole module where we really go into detail on habits. So
mhm.
don't worry about them right now. We will go into that, and there are technique specific stuff that we do, but it comes later on. There's a lot of groundwork to do before then. But we will go.
So I'm really going into this like intensely. So
Yes.
Good.
number 5, I'm gonna make another folder. So this is my 5th folder that I
Excellent.
create, and I did all this on the computer too.
Oh,
Excellent.
Make a
good.
list. Yeah, make a list of all my beliefs, those that are
Yes.
positive and negative, important, not
Yes.
important.
Yes.
And then 6, create a list of activities and behaviors in my life that take significant time and energy. And
Yes.
then my intent is knowing the material, and through that intense and thorough knowing, we will feel it and come to know it and live it, whatever.
Yes.
Um,
And the material here, I just want to make this very clear. The
yeah,
material is going to come from you.
yeah,
Course has its own material, yes, but it's an entry point. They portals, they entryways, they gateways. It is stimulus to you connecting to the moreness of you. This
uh,
is what we're after. So the
yes,
content, yes, it has value, but it's not the main focus. The main focus is
yes,
you using this to connect to your own moreness and to your own depth, and to be aware of what it is that is already important to you. So we are simply
yeah,
looking to get you connected to the more you, the full you, to
yes,
do so in clarity, in full awareness, and to be deliberate about it, not habitual, not a default
yeah,
habituality, right? Deliberateness, this is what we're aiming for. So be
Mhm.
aware that this process is one where it's immersion and thinking it through to the end. This is the core of the program.
Mhm.
Then we sort it, we organize it. You sort it, you organize it. Yes, we facilitate and we assist you on that. But this is what we do. It's all about you, but you have to get really into it. And this is the process. And when you get into through that slide by slide repeat back and takeaway, this also now you come first, you get immersed. Then you write it out.
mhm,
Emphasis one, understanding one, connectivity one. Then you come back on the sessions and you share this, right? Now, when
right,
you share it with us verbally, this is a repeat emphasis of the same thing, but it's never the same. So you get to practice expression. You get to practice understanding your own understanding. Because when we do stuff privately inside our head, we always think we kind of have it down and it's there. But when you have to express it and explain it to others, oh, suddenly you realize, oh, I didn't quite get it the way I thought I got it. So we
right,
now are again re-emphasizing, and we are practicing expression,
right,
comprehension, understanding, elucidation, articulation,
mhm,
connectivity, especially
mhm,
connectivity. Then the
right,
dictionary of power. It takes all of
uh,
that big pyramid of knowledge, of understanding of all the stuff that's important, and we condense it and fractalize it and put it into a concept. Whatever, let's say it's trust, capital T, trust. Trust means this and this and this to you. But because you know what trust means to you, when you
right,
say trust, it connects to all that moreness, right? And this is
mm,
the power of the program. It's not the content, It's the process.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more.
Mm.
And for instance, doing repeat backs. You got to let go your ego to do repeat backs. Some people can't do them,
Mm.
or they had trouble doing them because
Mm.
they felt, well, I understood what the slide was about. Why do I have to explain it again? And they feel a bit self-conscious to do it. They feel a bit like, well, I'm being sort of treated as if I'm stupid. No, it's for your own sake. You need to check your own understanding. You're going to be surprised
Mm.
how often what you believe you perceive is the same as what's being perceived on the other side, or what is intended. It's a powerful skill, but not only that, it forces you to internalize, to think about it, put it in your own words, even though it might not necessarily be something that you take for yourself. Mostly yes, but because they're self-evident sensibilities. But it's a process, and there's a big sophistication to the process. So this is what I want to really emphasize. The process is the program.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Yeah.
the content. The content, yes, is valuable and it's important and it's necessary, but it's the process. It's the
Mm-hmm.
process, because you are making it your own. Really, what we are doing, in one another way of saying, is, we are actually actualizing your own internal philosopher. In the
Mm-hmm.
old school of philosophy, where philosophy is you figuring out your most ideal way of living and how precisely to put it into action in practical ways. This is what
Mm.
we're doing. Yeah, we're making a philosopher out of you, a practical personal philosopher.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes there, where you just have to go through it and do it. Otherwise nothing happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And you talked about habits before, how, difficult it is really to pay attention to that, to start doing something to change them,
Right.
replacements are always needed. So look in the bigger picture here of everything that Sil talked about. And that is looking at the habit of that speed, of that quickness, and a replacement
Right.
would be patience and pacing.
Slow down. Yeah.
Slow
Yeah.
down.
That's
Right.
exactly what I wanted to say right now.
Yeah.
Slowing down
Yeah.
and matching the pace of the environment. This is
Mm-hmm.
important. This is important.
Right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
The Now I wrote down
For you, Sue.
I wrote down some of my own thoughts that just, I don't know if they're specifically about what I read on
It doesn't matter.
the program or
I,
anything,
I,
but it's like my
I do
own
want to
kind of
interrupt you there. 1 second, Ryan.
uh-huh,
Please hold that there.
uh-huh,
Part of your note taking is to
uh-huh.
make notes of what comes up. It is a
Yeah.
huge part of the notes. So as you're going through a slide, doesn't
Hmm.
matter how random it seems, how unconnected, make a note. If it came up while you're doing the slide, make a note of it. It's always connected. So these things that are
Yeah.
coming up in you, very, very, very important. Very important.
So I've been kind of I've been on a quest since 2008, I
Mm-hmm.
would say, to find out, like, this intent in 2008 I had was to find out my purpose, basically. Like, I never had one. And I wanted to know, well, why am I here? And then what do I need to do specifically? So all of these notes that I wrote down are kind of a summation of my takeaways from my own personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
I've kind of built this, it's like a system or a method of how to become more in your life. Now, I'm currently not doing all of these things. I'm kind of doing all of these things. Like, I'm doing them a little bit in my life. Like, I'm starting to do these things in my life, but I would like to do them more, because I feel like if I do all these things together, I could become more. So here's kind of this is the summation of the last 12 years of my life, what I've come to this kind of conclusion. So before, I said we needed to follow the law, and I wrote this down. And I said the law stands for land, air, and water, and to follow the law is to be sovereign in each of these areas of your life to be sovereign on the physical land, and then what can you do to be the king of your own land. Be sovereign in the air, which is your thought life. The air is your mental. So what can you do to take control of that area, these jurisdictions, so to speak. And then W is water, which is like the spirit, the etheric energy. And there has to be something you can do to take power back over that jurisdiction. And if you follow the law, you will become the king of your own life. Now, this is really profound for me. So, but I just had a realization the other day. We no longer are bound by the law. And this goes back to like biblical stuff, right? Where the law is sin and death. Wherever there's laws, it means it's telling the people that they're not good enough to be good on their own, but they need rulers and they need laws to be good because they're not good. So it's kind of like what you say, that we're good, but when you have laws, it's telling people subconsciously that we're not good enough to be good on our own.
Exactly.
So
More an implication. Yeah.
Yes, this is very profound. So I said, instead of the law, where the foundation's being built on the physical land, which is very heavy. So land is very heavy and dense, right? And then the air, and then and then the etheric energy, it gets less dense as you go up. So I know it kind of a little scientific here going on here, but I said we will reverse this, and it changes to the wall method, the WAL. So building a wall. So now, instead of following the law, which is about obedience, which is about being a servant or a slave, so to speak. Now we change that and flip it to where now we're builders. Now we're architects. Now we're engineers. We're building a wall.
Excellent.
Okay. And I said, building a wall of protection around us so we can scale it, so we can climb it. And the foundation is the most important part of the wall. So this is all playing into my life's work, right? Because I'm a foundation guy.
Yeah.
So the foundation is the most important part of the wall to carry the weight of the structure. So the foundation of this new thing. So our foundation before was the land, the physical, right? And we worked from the physical up. But now what we need to do is work from the top down. And the water, the etheric energy, should be our foundation. So this could be like our root chakra or our sexual energy. And then the air is our mental. And then the land is the earth energy. But more specifically is that we are building a firewall. So this etheric energy has to do with fire. So the wall is water, air, land, earth, but there's a fourth element, which is fire. So fire is actually the foundation of everything, or it's not even the foundation, it engulfs all the other elements. So we're specifically building a firewall. And now a firewall, if you think about what a firewall does, this is like computer terminology. It protects from invaders or viruses. So fire is the invisible element that ties everything together, and a firewall protects you from viruses and harmful entities and malignant forces. So I call this the firewall method. Now, there's specific things to do in this firewall method, but it says this will protect you from the unseen. How do you build your temple or firewall, and what do you build it from? It consists of a foundation and multiple walls. A three-dimensional pyramid is a perfect representation of this firewall method. So if you think of the pyramid of Giza, there's a foundation slab, which is like the fire, and then there's 3 walls, which is the water, air, and the land. You see? So it's like, that's like a representation of this. And I said, we are changing from obeying the law and being slaves to the land to being masters of the land and it obeying us. We no longer need the law needs us. So when we flip the law upside down and get a wall, or we go a wall, which is what we are building within. I mean, the language is so funny.
Clever.
More specifically, a firewall. No longer am I focusing on building my foundation on the land, and I'm focusing on building it of fire. And I said, as leaders, we're responsible to shine, share, and show. That's what leaders do. We don't really do anything else. We shine, we share, and we show. And we are to show the blueprints to others on how to develop. So what we are is development engineers. We can apply our leadership responsibilities through sharing, shining, and showing. These 3 are the trinity of applications for the firewall method. You cannot separate these. Each is all and all is each. We are to be doing what we know, write down everything so we don't have to, and then blah, 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 blah. I wrote some other stuff too. But that's just that's what came up in me. And that's kind of like, I've been working on that for a long time.
That's very cool.
And the 3 things, the trinity of things for all these areas is the water is Dr. Wilson's program, because that's how you download etheric energy. And then your program is the air section of it. And this is just for me. Like, I need to be doing these things.
This is important. It's very
and
good.
then
But you have your own core understandings, right? This is what.
Yes. Your program is this air, which is the thought life, taking power over your thoughts, or the mental life.
And air is an A term, so we love those A terms.
Yes, and it's the A. Yes,
A plus philosophy. Exactly.
I mean, you got it down. But and then the land is this legal stuff that I've been working on the past few years too, which has to do with taking power over the land, which is jurisdictional, which has to do with the law, like the legal stuff, the courts. So I think they're all 3 important for me. And for some reason, I need to be doing all 3 of these things to do my life's work, whatever that is. And I'm involved with politics. I ran for state representative this year.
Which politics is the same thing. That's law.
Yes.
That's the laws of the land. So you see, that's laws coming via the politics. And whenever you have groups and organizations, there are rules and laws it has to be. And so we have to understand those and make them appropriately. But you have to have an understanding of what's out there in order to change it and deal with it and work with it. So it doesn't mean that you have to use it, but you have to know it.
So that's kind of what came up for me. But really, I guess to do with the program, like I know all of these things, but I don't understand. I don't understand all of these areas fully, because all these areas, they're really big. They're huge. So, I mean, it takes people lifetimes to understand any one of these areas.
Wouldn't worry too much about it right now, Ryan. Have this overview conception of where you're heading. As we go through the program, it will connect to all of this. You'll see. It will all connect. Because this is the program is about developing and acquiring tools. And the tools are going to help you to implement and apply all of that. You'll see. It's
You'll be able to clearly
connect.
connect. You'll be able to clearly connect the way of impeccability tools to what
Right.
you're doing in that Trinity.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
I can see some of it there already. And it'll
Exactly.
just be an
Yes.
easier terminology that's kind of
Right.
already developed that you can
Right.
just flow into
Yeah.
and use
It'll be very
every day.
simple. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
What
So you
again,
can
though, does water represent for you, Ryan? You said you got
So
energy?
yeah, like etheric energy.
Spirit.
So kind of like when Jesus says, if you come drink from the water that I give you, you'll never thirst. So like in the Bible, there's always representations of vessels, where they talk about vessels and these vessels being filled with water, specifically, and drinking this water, like the fountain of youth or whatever. But really, what's interesting is this water is a representation of like the spirit, but it gets deeper. So the water is a representation of half of the spirit. So the spirit is comprised of two halves, and this is yin and yang, male, female. So God is androgynous. He's neither male nor female, or he, she, whatever you want to say. So the yin energy, or the watery energy of the spirit, is called the Shekinah in Hebrew, actually. And that is like this watery, flowy energy that kind of flows over you. But then also fire is a part of that too, which is the kabod. And that's a different type of spiritual energy that cleanses you as well. So that's why you have to have the water and you have to have the fire. The fire was the missing element, because in the Bible, it talks about this shift or this change from this yin, watery energy, which is the baptism by water. If you read the Bible, you'll understand there's two baptisms. There's a baptism by water, which John the Baptist was baptizing people with water, until Jesus came on the scene. So Jesus came on the scene and he was baptized by water, which is good. That's the dove. That's the gentle part of God. That's the very loving, nurturing, gentle part of God, right? Like the mother. But then Christ, in the upper room in the day of Pentecost, Penta, the fire element, right? They were baptized with fire, and they had flames above their head.
The Holy Ghost.
Now that's the power aspect of God, and it's not really as nice. It's not really as gentle as the yin, the mother part. It's more like fiery and intense. It has to do with like judgment and like words like that, which is not negative things. People think it's negative, but it's more like a father. You know how a father can like look at a child real intensely. Yeah, and the child just, they shut up and they don't say anything because they're kind of a little bit scared, because this intense fire energy, they're like, oh man, that's like really intense. So like you have the yin and the yang, you have the water baptism, the fire baptism, which you need both. And that's what we're all working on, is how do we get both of those natures within us, I guess, to become complete and whole. So that's kind of my understanding about like what I think about, the spirit or etheric energy, or how it works. And I've put a lot of thought into this. Okay. This isn't just an answer I just came up with in 2 seconds.
Yeah, no, it's a big very important. Very important.
Yeah, it's all about balance. It's all about balance and appropriateness.
Yes.
Because water and fire really need to coexist.
Yes.
And it's a cycle. It's just like Chinese medicine. If you look at all the combos of Chinese medicine, you'll see the earth, the fire, the water, the metal, the wood, and it all works in harmony. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
And it's I'm learning how to get both of those, because I had a lot of fire energy before, but I'm learning like I needed more of the yin watery energy to kind of cool me down,
Right.
or slow me down.
The fire is that quickness. And again, it's the awareness
Yes.
of that's what is there in order
Yes.
for you to make a shift or a change in that. Again, sometimes quick is
Yes.
appropriate, fast is
Yeah.
appropriate, but other times it's not. You know, it's like
Exactly.
if you drove a car 200 miles an hour every day just because it can,
Yes.
what price do you pay for that?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to do that. You know, you don't
It's
have
all
to go
about the
that
appropriateness.
fast.
Yeah.
Appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm
Okay, that's
working on,
fascinating. No, that's some pretty deep thinking there, buddy. Yeah.
I think a lot.
Mhm.
That's all I do is like think about stuff.
Cool. Very cool.
You know what I mean? I'm kind of like Sil a little bit. We're a little similar, or we just like sit and think about stuff.
Yeah.
I told Sil before.
Gotta apply it. That's the key.
That's
See,
right.
and that's
the key. Yeah.
that's
you can
what
put
I've
all
been.
the words on the paper and think them in your head, but if you have no application, it's absolutely meaningless. Right.
And that's what's so profound. Like when Sil came into my life, it was so appropriate at the time because I had all this knowledge, but I wasn't really doing anything with it.
Mhm.
You know, like I know all this stuff, but it's like, how do I do it?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, that's what you're going to learn here. Yeah. You'll see all that pacing, patience. It's all going to come.
Practice.
And you have a lot of practice. Yeah, to practice it, and you know, it's relating. It's making those connections in there. Dumping all this amazing information out. What are you going to do with it? You know, how can that actually apply in your life and connect?
Yeah.
And the program will really do well for you. Yeah.
And sometimes there's just a little bit of fear I have, like I'm missing out. Like slowing down is difficult for me, and like I'm getting better at it, but just taking the time to slow down to write, it keeps me from worrying or thinking about other stuff, which I feel like I'm addicted to that a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to thinking too much, I think.
Yeah.
So again, it's you know, sometimes it seems overwhelming, like, oh my God, I don't really want it. So it's those, you know, still talking about all the time, the baby steps, you know, when we're trying to change or shift something that's that big, that's that comprehensive in your life, which it sounds like it is, this fast, you have this incredible intensity, this incredible amount of knowledge, but again, to make it have it serve you for you, you know, it's the appropriateness of it, and learning to slow down and allow yourself to really to digest it. And it's baby
to
steps.
incorporate it, to get it into the body, not just into the mind. The mind is part of it only. It has to get into the body to feel it, as you say, innate. That's what we aim for, that innateness eventually. It's very big.
And so I guess for me, the really important things that have come up for me lately is my desire or my intent to live more powerfully. The power living that you talk about.
The moreness.
Yeah, the moreness. I do really want to be more powerful. And this is fascinating that I'm saying this, because when I first had my first little encounter or whatever it was in 2008, it sent me on this journey of knowing more. But I had this vision of I believe it was Sil. Well, now that I look back, Sil came to me in a dream, or it was a prophet or somebody that looked like him. When he had his long beard with the braids in it and all that.
Beard. I met him.
But
when he had that.
yeah, so and it said to read 2 Timothy, and that book is just it's so fascinating because it's so relevant for me.
Wow.
And in that book, it talks about at the end of the age, which, if we all know, we're at the end of the age of Pisces right now, and transferring into this new age of Aquarius.
Right.
And the Bible talks about this too, that Jesus said, or Paul said, that at the end of the age, people will have a form of godliness, but they deny the power. And I never heard anybody ever talk about power before. But that power and obtaining power was somehow like evil or wicked or something.
Yeah.
Or they wanted to keep people from being powerful. So I've always been fascinated with power, and not in like a bad way where I want to control people or
Personal
anything,
power, yeah.
but personal power. Yeah, because
Empowerment.
Usable energy, in other words.
yes, because I became aware of how little power I had over myself.
Yeah.
Because I never could do things I wanted to do. Like I wanted to do things, but it's like I always sabotage my success.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I was a really good football player, and I had opportunities where I could have even played in the NFL at that level. And every time something good would happen, I'd go sabotage it and do something really bad to ruin the opportunity.
Mm.
And I always wondered why I did that.
We'll
You
get
know?
there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
In terms of the pacing, you were talking about, the desire to go fast, but the need to go slow. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
really ask you this, a very, very big question. What happens when you
Mm-hmm.
rush a foundation?
Well, you mess it up. It doesn't
Thank you
work.
very much. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The
All. That says it
And
all.
what are
now
we doing here, Ryan? What are we doing? We are laying the foundation of Ryan. Ryan is
right.
laying Ryan's foundation. So bloody hell, you better not
You
rush
know
to this.
what? I'm not gonna blame my dad for my bad habits, but monkey see, monkey do. Like
Oh, a lot of it comes from him. Absolutely. Yeah.
I learned a lot of these bad habits from him. I recognize that.
Yeah.
And
Good.
I work with him still.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I'm gonna fully transform into what I want to be,
Mm-hmm.
like I can't work with him anymore
At some
because
point. Yeah.
he affects me like even talking to him,
Yeah.
even like having a relationship with him. And he's not a bad guy, and I don't dislike him.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it would be more healthy
Oh,
for me.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because he cues and triggers, and it's habits and momentum. So your
And I
dad
got
into your habits, or at least makes breaking from your habits difficult. Yeah. So at
and the
some
way he
point,
does business, it's like I'm fighting against something.
correct.
It's like it takes a lot of work to deal with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In other words,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of extra energy that's unnecessary to spend. And
Yeah.
what we're about here, our impeccability, it's about best use of
Mhm.
energy. So if you continually needing to adapt, to change, to correct, to fight against stuff, this is a poor use of your energy. And
Yeah.
so when it comes to parents, when they trigger our old habits that we don't
Mhm.
want to have, it makes
Mhm.
replacement much more difficult. So yeah, it is important to at some
Mhm.
point break free from your parents. It's very key. It's very key.
But here's the good news, Ryan.
Uh-huh.
The
Yeah.
awareness that you have about what
Mhm.
you're noticing about your father
Exactly.
Mhm.
it is a great place to start, because you'll learn
Mhm.
in the program energy management, habit management, association
Mhm.
management, that all three of those even tie right into your father. So they'll be the
Mhm.
tools for you to manage and to work with that, to make those changes for yourself. But you have to first acknowledge that there's a change that needs to be made, that there's a habit that's been there, regardless of where it came from, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
I don't want to. Yeah, I just don't want to be like him because
It's a choice. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, my mother died early, and I'm not blaming him for her death or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but he has a way of draining your energy that I've noticed. And he used to do it to me, but I've had to work really hard to like block that.
Yeah.
And I feel like he just sucked the life out of my mother. And my father-in-law, my wife's mother, died early too, and he's the same way as my dad.
Wow.
And I'm like, people can vampire other people.
Mm-hmm.
They can drain other people's energy. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do that to my wife. I don't want to do that to my children. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I want to help people. I don't want to hurt people. And, you know, you can do it. I don't think he does it intentionally, but I think people will go around and they're hurting people because they don't have control of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly.
And they're tired.
Unintentional, yeah.
Yeah, unintentional harming, which you got to forgive them for that.
Sure.
Yep. Also, there's inappropriate application of goodness.
Yes, I
Trying
like
to be
that
good
one. So
in
yeah,
inappropriate ways. So yeah, add it to your dictionary of power. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Inappropriate application.
Of your goodness. Yeah.
I mean,
So
that's
yeah,
such
all
a
about
good
that
one.
awareness. If it, that's a big chunk of that foundation is your awareness, and building upon that. You got to start with that. It's like not having, the land. Yeah. Say that again.
Well,
Permission.
I'm just saying, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I guess another thing that's come up for me lately, there's like convergence of timelines in my life. I don't know if that you can correlate with that or if that makes sense to you.
We hear this all the time. Yeah.
But like I have these two timelines or like paths, you can say, that are running like side by side with each other in my life right now, and it's forcing me to like make a choice. But I'm worried about what if I choose the wrong one, type of thing. And then I'm
only impeccable
contemplating
choices, and they never wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm like, is it possible to choose the wrong one?
No, it's not. You choose
So
impeccably.
that's been my thoughts lately.
Yeah. We'll get into it. We'll get into that also. It's coming. Yeah.
Can I just share with you what they are real quick?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Oh yeah.
I really don't get to talk to, well, I talk to Janelle, but I don't talk to many people about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But people at my church, like, I can't really get too deep with them.
Not yet.
They look at me funny.
Not yet. It'll come.
So there's this path that's leading me down a path that would be like, it would be the rest of my life, being involved with politics. So there's this little path that the universe says I can choose to get involved with politics and be a great leader and speaker, right? And communicate to the people. So there's that, and I have an opportunity to run for alderman and get my foot in the door and probably win and get this position. And it's just an entry level position, right? So I have that opportunity right now. And then there's this other thing going on that's been going on for a long time, which is to do this holistic development center and doing all these programs all at one place, all the programs I'm telling you about. And I think I talked to you about this still before, kind of this desire I had to do a development center with all of these power living things being, you could share them all from like one place or do them all at one place or have a physical place you could go to do these things. And South America came up for us back in 2013, and specifically Ecuador, Peru. And God told us to get our passports last year and to start learning Spanish. And I didn't really understand why the universe was telling us to do these things. But we did it anyways. And I'm like, I don't know why we have passports and this and that. But at church on Sunday, this European gentleman said, I'm from South America. And I'm like, that's weird. Specifically Peru, Lima. And he said, my grandparents moved from Europe there to escape the war. And I'm like, oh, interesting. And his parents still live there, and they own a coffee business, and they want to get out of it, and blah, blah. Long story short, my children's cartoons are talking in Spanish lately. It's just strange. I met a lady at church. She's involved with like a Spanish ministry. So like all these things are coming up about moving to Peru and speaking Spanish and blah, 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 blah. But then there's this other path, like running alongside of it, which is like staying local and being involved with these politics. And it's this week, they're kind of converging, and it's just been a very weird week for me and very confusing.
Interesting.
And I'm trying not to react to either of these. I'm just trying to just allow things to kind of unfold, I guess. But that's why I'm worrying about, well, can I just make a choice? Is it up to me, or is it up to God? Like, can I make the wrong choice? Like, I guess I'm worrying about stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever
We'll
do
come
that.
back to this in a little bit about choices.
Yeah.
Because I am keen to go through more specific notes. And the choices thing is going to come up, because as we go through the program, it's a major part of the program. And it's about energy management also. And when it comes to impeccability and understanding how it all works, then you're going to see a simpler way that this takes care of itself. So we'll definitely get there. So yeah, but I am keen to hear the specific details. So I want to go from the overview. This is nice to have this overview, because now we have a clear focus of what needs to be, where we headed and what needs to be paid attention to, and this is very important. So, and then the other thing is I wanted to say is that in terms of decisions, right now, do the thing that's most important. What you need to do right now, you need to lay a foundation. You can't make choices until your foundation is laid, right?
Well, yeah, and that just helped me make my choice too. When I think of, well, what do I need to do right now? Well, I have 2 weeks to get my signatures to run for alderman. Like they have to be filed by December 21st.
And this is alderman for
Belleville, where I live.
Okay. And so how does that? Because I thought it was something to do with the church, so I wasn't sure.
No, it's political.
It is.
But there's no like political party. It's nonpartisan. At the city level, there's no Republican, Democrat, or anything. You're just you're an alderman of a ward. So my city has 8 wards, and there's 2 aldermans in each ward. So an alderman, you just kind of like are the caretaker of your area, and you want to just kind of talk about ideas on how to improve your area, basically.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's basically what you do. But right now, I have to get petition signatures, because I have a limited amount of time to do it. And Peru, that's like in the future somewhere. It's not like something that's happening right now. So if I were to do what I need to do right now, it's to go get signatures and file my paperwork.
There you go. So you see, when you talk it through, well, that became rather obvious what you need to do. Very simple.
And I feel like, this is what's interesting, I feel like I'm addicted, though, to choosing the other path, like going far away to this distant land. That sounds more exciting or something.
Right. But you need to be ready for that.
Right. Your foundation. Let's not forget about the foundation that needs to be. That's like building the top. Yes, it sounds like fun and all this, but are you not jumping to the top, working on the roof?
That's what I do. Right. Yeah.
Right. So,
Interesting.
you
It's
know,
very
and then
fascinating.
too, you know, in order to, you know, like part of the foundation is doing and finishing this program. So this is important, you know. We
Yeah,
got
I
to go
got
through
that
all of
problem.
it. Yeah,
I've been struggling with that. And that's what I was saying. I'm struggling with slowing down, organizing my
yeah,
thoughts, creating new habits.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I'm just, I'm a jackass, like plain and simple. And
yeah. No, you were. Please start changing the language.
yeah, sorry,
It's very
I'll do that.
important. It's very
Um,
important. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm in the process of
changing.
getting out of that jackass
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly,
lifestyle.
Right.
exactly.
And
It's
Um,
got
all these goals are really terrific insight and information and intents that
mhm,
you'll be able to get even more clarity and deeper intent
mm,
on through the program,
exactly.
because
uh,
all the tools, trust me, all the tools that you're going to be able to learn in here will
mhm,
answer all these
Right,
questions that you have
right,
today,
right,
all of them.
right.
wow.
So when you build a house, right? You
Mhm.
know the architect draws up the plan,
Right.
okay, and then they go to the contractor, and then the contractor says, okay, I'll build it, and then you know he gets his guys to do the building. But
Yeah.
what has to happen before they can do the building? They have to learn how to use the tools.
Oh
You
yeah.
can't just take
Oh yeah.
anybody and do this. I mean, they have to learn how to use a hammer and a screwdriver. It's very basic,
Yep.
but still, you need to learn how to use it and all the other
Yes.
tools. So this is what we are doing right now. We are learning tools.
Mm. Tools
Yes,
of like communication. Yeah.
tools of communication,
Everything.
tools of understanding, tools of awareness, tools of perspective, tools of
Mm.
perception. Yes, there's many, many tools that we are learning here.
Yeah.
Many, many
This
tools.
is
Mm.
your foundation. And once you have all that, go build a pyramid, go to Peru, go do, wherever.
Right.
This is the
The
key. This is the key. Hmm.
Sil, I don't know if you'll remember this, but the last time I attempted to do the program,
Mhm.
or and I did part of it, but remember I was having the vehicle problems with the squeaky
I remember.
belt, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And your
I don't
name.
know if you remember. Like I should have wrote down, and I think I might have it written down in a notebook about that experience and like why it happened, because I had an awareness about like why it happened, because I was getting like off track or something, and
Yeah.
like all this chaos. See, and Sue, you'll learn this. Like I actually have events that come into my life that I I'll become aware of that like shift my life around in like dramatic ways. And I share these things with Sil, but
Well, you physically manifest the lessons you need.
I physically manifest stuff so
Very cool.
The
fast.
lessons you
Oh
need.
yeah.
It's always the lessons you need.
Yeah.
Yes, it's always something to learn. But like if I get off track, for instance, like I'll manifest tremendous amounts of chaos uh to come into my life, like a storm or a tornado, and literally it'll like blow me back to where I need to be. Like this week that happened. I'm just gonna share that. Yesterday was that day. It was so chaotic. Like alarms were going off. Just it was so crazy. You can ask Janelle. I'm like, what the heck is going on? It it was so weird. Um,
Uh,
well, it's because earlier in the week I started shifting off of this path that I was on,
Mhm.
and I started thinking, oh, it's becoming clear. So I was on the path of I need to do the development, I need to do your program, the legal stuff, which is what I wrote down. I already know these things. But then the Peru thing came up, and I'm like, oh, yay, let's go fly away to a distant land somewhere. That sounds fun. But it's just like it was just like an attempt to escape from these things
yeah,
I know I need to
exactly.
do.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Um, you know
Temptation.
what I mean?
Mhm.
And so all this chaos came into my life this week, and I'm like, why are things going so crazy? And I'm like, oh, because I just recently like shifted, and I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm just gonna forget about doing all this stuff. I don't want to do it anymore. Or we're just gonna leave. We're just gonna
Wow.
like go somewhere far away.
Wow.
And I just noticed just now. I realized that's what I do.
It's
I
avoidance of the responsibility
So,
of actually
I
kind of
avoid responsibility.
yeah.
knuckling
Damn it!
down, and it's not
God
unpleasant
damn it!
what we are going to do right now.
Now on the outside, it doesn't seem that way because I work for my family business. You know, I got stuff going on. You know, I look like a responsible
Yeah,
husband and father, and my children are well behaved.
right,
Blah blah blah.
right.
But when I'm honest with myself,
Yeah, yeah,
it's different.
yeah,
Mhm.
You
yeah.
know.
It's just fear of failure. That's all.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
taking those things as force of circumstance, like those alarms, what does that
Yes.
word in the abstract, what does an alarm mean to you? What does that represent? What does an alarm represent?
For me, usually like a warning.
There you
Um, so saying don't go that way
go.
or something, if you continue going that way, something is going to be dangerous or harm you, or I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, something like
There
that.
you go. There was your answer to
Right.
going to Peru.
So, so how do you connect that?
Mm.
You make the connection for yourself of what that warning was, that alarm, that signal for
Well,
your life.
I've done this.
What's going on?
Yeah, I've done this once before. Um, we went to California because my mom died and there
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of chaos in my life. And so I just ran away. We went to California because we're like, we don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to deal with all of this stuff. And it was a very bad experience out there for us. It,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we learned a lot, but we just ended up coming right back to where we were at.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, mm.
And I ended up in the same spot. And I feel like, yeah, if I go to Peru, it probably won't be a good experience. And then
Not
what
yet.
if what if I don't get to come back to where I'm supposed to be?
Yeah, yeah.
What if I get stuck there?
But if you have the proper foundation, it doesn't matter
Yeah,
where you go from
Exactly.
here to
yeah,
Peru to back
yeah.
to Australia, doesn't matter. That
More
But I
foundation
feel,
is your key.
yeah,
yeah,
I feel like I just need to be here for a while though,
yeah,
Sure.
maybe.
you
I don't
do.
know.
Because there's something that comes before laying the foundation. You need to
Mm,
have the tools with which to lay the foundation.
That's right.
And that's
mm-hmm.
what we're doing now.
That's
We
right.
are, yes, we are laying a foundation, but we are also acquiring, developing, using, and getting familiar with and getting expert at using the tools that are necessary
Yes.
for foundation laying. So we're doing both. We're going to get the tools and
So
lay the foundation.
yeah, I appreciate you guys letting me share this because it does help
Mhm.
clarify, you know, my intentions
Yeah,
and my thoughts.
yeah, yeah. It's very important. Very
Yeah,
important.
it's sharing is so important
Yeah,
for
Absolutely.
me.
yeah.
Um
It's
because
everything.
without it, when I'm not doing these sessions, um I can't think clearly.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
For me.
yeah.
Mhm.
And we have to
The,
have that clarity of intent. It's essential.
yeah, and it helps keep my focus on my purpose,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you know.
exactly.
Absolutely.
That focus of purpose. But
Yeah,
still, this is the crazy thing. Um if I just do, for me, like just doing the program one time, like that's not, I don't want to just do that. Like for me, I have to keep doing this all the
yes,
time. Like,
Mhm.
yes,
or
yes. That's how it's
if I don't
designed,
keep
actually,
doing it,
Ron.
right, if I don't keep doing it all the time, like I lose it.
Right.
Exactly.
It starts fading away.
That's why we come back full circle to patience and pacing, to
Yeah,
slow it down, to learn it. And what
Yeah.
happens is it becomes innate, it becomes part of you. And
Yeah.
you don't have to keep repeating the program because you'll know it. You'll know it in every essence of your being, every essence of
right.
your
And
being.
then we get to that third P,
Mm.
the practice. The practice. That's
Mm.
every session we are practicing. Every second
Absolutely.
of the day we are practicing. Which, practicing means making mistakes, doing it wrong, right? I mean, if you listen to any
Yes.
musician practice, right? Uh,
Yes.
you hear those notes that don't sound pretty. That's part of practice. You have to have that because you have to know what doesn't work in order to
Right.
know what you want, right? So
Right.
Yeah.
practice sessions are all about practice. Every
I've
day.
always the fear of failure, that's a big thing. And when I look back when I was a child, that always kept me from doing something. Because like playing the guitar, like I started playing the guitar and I wanted to be a good guitarist when I was younger, but then I wasn't very good when I first started playing, and I got very frustrated and I quit. You know,
not only fear of failure, but fear of looking stupid as well.
yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, I was always very self-conscious about my appearance to other people. You know, to the point where it was unhealthy, I think, maybe.
And you have to make the choice to change. And you
Yeah.
know, one of the best ways is, no pun intended, is stay in the course here. Literally, the
Right.
way of impeccability. Following that, it will propulse you. So really immersing yourself and delving yourself into it, you will allow you to get a lot of these answers all on your own. All on your own. Yeah.
This is what's interesting. So the last time I was involved with the program was last year around like September of 2019. And I stopped doing it because because something was pulling me into politics. And still might remember, I'm like, yeah, I feel like God wants me to be a leader, and he wants me, I'm definitely going to be a speaker, like a public speaker. But it wasn't a preacher in a church. I knew that because we thought I might have been going to be a preacher, but I'm supposed to preach but from a different pulpit. And things were pulling me into politics, and one thing led to another, and I ended up running for state representative, which sounds crazy. But my problem was, I thought, oh, now I'm done with the program, I can just go into this because that's what I'm supposed to do next. But I feel like I need to be doing the program so I can do that job more effectively. See? So I can't quit the program.
No, you can't.
I got to keep doing it because of doing the program, like my FIRE method. So the FIRE method, it might just be for me. I don't know. But I have to be doing your program. I have to be doing Dr. Wilson's program, and I have to be doing learning this legal stuff in order for me to be able to do whatever job I'm supposed to do effectively. And I know it's probably a political leader somehow.
Right. To be an effective alderman or state representative, you need to know
and eventually
the laws of what the job entails.
And who knows? I could be a governor someday. I could be, who knows? You really don't know.
Right. But lay your foundation for wherever you end up. That's way of impeccability.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
is to take it to anywhere.
It's so interesting.
That's right.
I feel like we take communication for granted. I feel like most people just don't even know how to communicate.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
When I actually slow down and listen to people, which it takes effort to do that. But when I do that, I notice that most people I come across have a difficult time in saying what they really want to say. And that I only get the goodies if I'm patient and I listen to the end of what someone's saying or my interaction with them. I'll get the little nugget of what they were trying to say, like at the very, very end of the conversation. So it's almost like afraid to say what they really wanted to say. They had to they had to say all this fluff.
You're listening for the implications.
Yeah, they talk about all this. How's the weather? How's your golf game? How's did you watch the news type crap?
They hedge themselves so that they don't have to commit.
Yeah, it's really strange. And I probably do that too with people just because I'm mirroring them. They're doing it, so I'm doing it.
Oh,
And sometimes I just do it and I play along just so I can get to what are they really trying to say,
exactly.
you know.
Still
Like a
developed.
little,
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's still developed in the Mornis program, which is after a way of impeccability, is
really.
a course on hearing, capital H hearing, and
Yeah.
proper appropriate helping. It's
I mean,
fascinating. It's
that'll
fascinating.
be, I mean, eventually I hope I get to
That's right
that
up your
because,
alley. That's right up your alley. So know that that
yeah.
down the road after that, and that it really can help solidify
Well,
so much.
especially when I think about a political leader,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, really their job or what they do is their responsibility. Now I'm talking about a good leader, not a crappy leader.
Capital L leader. Capital L leader.
Capital L leaders, they hear people. Like that's, they listen. Like that's
Capital
really
L
their
listening.
job.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all they're supposed to do. They're supposed to just be there and listen to people.
Wow.
And
Because those kind of
act.
leaders are servants.
Yeah, and then act on the wishes of the people. And maybe not what the people are, but you have to learn how to listen to what they're really saying. Like, what do they really want? And then when you hear what they really want, then you go act on that and do those things.
Right. Yeah. Very important. Hello, Beena.
Beena. Oh, she's
What?
on mute. She's on mute.
Oh.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How are you, Ryan?
Oh, good. A little, I'm detoxing a little, but I feel okay.
Okay.
He's
Better since
great.
he started.
He's doing great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah.
Good. And how are you, Sue and Sil?
Good. Good.
Most
Thanks.
excellent. Glad you're here, Beena. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Glad you could make it. Very good.
I was just trying to complete my job as soon as possible and be here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Glad you're here. Glad you're
Okay, please carry on, please.
Well, we're basically just wrapping up overview perspective of all the things that are important to Ryan. And
right.
we're just about to get to the notes, right?
Yeah, look at your notes.
Hold on.
I'm keen. Let's start at the beginning.
Well, that was a lot of my notes. Hold on.
Well, I'll keep going then. I mean, the notes of the session itself, specifically. These were notes about things that came up, Beena. And it's important to write those down. Very important. And it's a big picture thing. So it's very important stuff. Yeah.
Good.
But we want detail also.
Okay. I was just asking that now or what you have already discussed?
What we discussed are things that came up for Ryan as he was doing the session, and as he was writing down notes. And these are all big picture things for Ryan, you know, his life overview, his underlying philosophy, stuff like this.
Yes. Vision is very big, like, yes.
Exactly. But now we want to get to the more detailed stuff of the session itself specifically.
Okay. Understand.
Now, which session?
Notes, Ryan.
Yeah, which session are you on? That's
well, we just go as your own pacing goes, but you know, we did session 1 pretty much already, so we're on session 2 now.
Module 1, session 2.
Because I feel like I was taking notes on all of module 1.
Oh, okay.
And then hold on a second. I feel like I jumped ahead.
That's fine.
Hold on. See, weren't we talking about that earlier?
Yeah. Well, let's just go to your notes of module 1, session 2, and then we keep going from there.
Because I was even taking notes on module 2. Hold on a second. See, I'm jumping ahead.
You can always go back and
really
redo it. That's not a problem. Most of the participants look ahead, but then they go back and then redo it in detail and go and do the notes, slide by slide notes, slide by slide repeat back, slide by slide takeaways.
Yeah, I'll probably have to go back and redo everything. But
Cool.
so awareness of choice is awesome. I wrote that down. I don't even know if this is exactly what I'm preaching, is sharing with them is what they need to hear, because of listening. I am to remind people what they already know, make people aware of what they know.
Yeah.
When we hear people, I'm sharing them. And I had some people come into my life where I got to practice listening. And I think I already shared this.
You did.
There was an African American lady who was very poor, living in Section 8 housing in the crappiest part of the Metro East where I live. And then the next day, I got to meet a gentleman who lived in one of the rich areas, an older white man. And I got to practice listening and just to the person. And I had to practice looking past their physical situations, I guess.
It's the
And
superficialities of appearance. Yeah.
yeah, and they both spoke very differently. So the older white gentleman, he was very well spoken, very articulate. But what's interesting is that was even a mask for what he was really trying to say. And then the other lady, she spoke very rough. Every other word was the N word, and it just was like very vulgar language. But that was just a cover up for what she was trying to say too. And what's interesting is when I really listened to them, they were saying the same things, and they're the same people. It was very fascinating. I was just like, oh wow, that's so crazy.
That's leadership 101 right there.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of practice. So
See past the superficial. See the real thing. What's really going on. The moreness, in other words.
yeah. So
It's
I
layered,
guess
in other words, right?
yeah, another thing for me, I really have a desire and intent to practice listening more. I really want to be able to do that.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
What you heard are those people's foundations.
Yes.
But you know what it takes, like to check out and inspect the foundation of a house.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yes.
like you were saying
Yes.
before, you guys had to redo a foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in order to get there, you have to uncover it first. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what you did.
Yeah.
You took the time and the patience to uncover through your hearing. They kept sharing and kept sharing and kept talking, and you looked past the superficialities, and eventually you heard their foundation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. I didn't even know I was really doing it at the time. I just knew I was supposed to listen. That's it.
Pay attention. Pay attention. Yes.
And pay attention.
Yes.
Um,
And look past
yeah. So,
your beliefs, past your ideas, past your preconceptions. Yeah. In other words, if you're going to a house and you don't know what the foundation is, and you tend to assume it's a normal foundation, but you don't know, right? You can't tell from the house itself what the foundation is. Sometimes if you see,
yes.
structural damage, whatever, you see sagging, whatever. But in general,
Yes.
you have to uncover the foundation in order to see what it is, right?
Yes.
And that takes time, effort, patience, and it means setting aside any preconceptions you have. You can't assume if your job is to come and uncover that foundation and to find out what it is. And and there's a reason why you're there to uncover the foundation, which means likely the foundation and the house don't quite match. That means you set aside your assumptions that it's just a normal foundation. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I have a habit, or I'm getting better. But I had a habit of doing that. My dad does that. Like, one of the frustrating things working for him is he'll rush through looking at a job, and he looks at all the jobs, but then because he rushes through and he doesn't catch everything. And so when he hands off a job for me to go get done or complete, you know, with some guys, we show up on the project and go over the notes or whatever. And there's a lot of things missing. We're not prepared.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Who's doing this program? The Ryan that has to do cleanup after his dad, or your dad? Which Ryan?
The Ryan that has to do cleanup?
Exactly.
Or
exactly. Your dad's not doing this program, and your dad can't do this program in that. Your dad, Ryan, you know, your side, that's kind of like your dad, because you also do that sometimes, right? That side of you, in other words, Dad Ryan, you know, your dad Ryan can't do this program. It's not possible to do it in that way, right?
Right.
The way your dad does the jobs, this is inappropriate, because you have to come and you have to do cleanup, you have to correct it, and you have to go in detail, you have to slow down, and you have to do. So you have to do this program with that Ryan.
Yeah, because it forces me. So it could be a little gift if I want to look at it that way.
It's a gift. It's a gift. Yes.
Yeah, he forces me to have to do all this extra stuff. Well, it's like he doesn't even exist. It's like I have to do it all over again.
Exactly. You have to do it impeccably from the start.
Yeah, and then I can do it right my way.
And in detail, you have to be very detailed and very precise when you're doing this stuff, right?
Yes.
This is what I'm after. So when you go back now for next time, right, go to the session and go through every slide one by one, right? Like this is, each one is uncovering a section of the foundation, and then do a repeat back on each slide, do a takeaway on each slide, one by one. Don't worry how long it takes. The job determines its own time. You can't rush that time.
And
right?
that's why I was focusing on just the physical nature of my note taking lately, and that's like I feel like I need to backtrack even more.
Good.
Pacing and patience with
because I feel like
note taking.
Even the way I started the program this time is not good enough. Like even like just how I structure my note taking. I need to rethink this whole thing.
Good. So Ryan, we can restart this program as many times as you like. Not a problem. Not a problem at all.
Well, and that's why the first thing I went over was, what do I need to do? Because or what am I doing? Like question you asked, what do I need to do too? And that's why I wrote down like all these different notebooks I need to have. Like even the style in which I take notes, like how I number things or whatever.
Fantastic.
I need to think of a new system.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, and then I put all these folders and did all this stuff, and I started putting stuff into these folders, and I ended up with like 8 different folders, and I'm like, holy crap. That's a lot of different folders.
I have lots of folders.
But yeah, I wanted to keep all my thoughts in different compartments. Yeah. You know, to keep them separate so they're not all jumbled together.
No, that's important. So you've got 4 main folders. One for your repeat backs, one for your takeaways, one for your dictionary of power, and one for your tasks and exercises.
Right, and I have those.
You can put the tasks and exercises in with your takeaways, but those are your 4 main folders. Then you can have additional folders for whatever is coming up that is additional, they are lists and they are collections. Like for instance, a folder for all your intents, and then you add another one for all your beliefs. These are fantastic, absolutely appropriate, and just arrange them alphabetically, and life is easy. As simple as that.
Yeah, I guess just
Perfect.
doing the programs revealing things I wasn't even aware of, just like how unorganized my note taking is.
Right. So make this your first task, to structure your note taking operation. How you're going to take notes, and then how you organize them, and then that's it. Once you've done that, it's not that hard. You can do that right now. You've already got it pretty much sorted, right?
Yes, and that's what I've been working on. Like,
and
how to?
Yeah.
What's that?
Here's a possible suggestion. Certainly you do what you need to do. But with all those different files, if you have a file for a takeaway, a file for a repeat back, a file for the dictionary of power, and a file
That's
for
what I did. Yeah.
Right. To go back and keep them, I know as a participant, flip-flopping those screens back and forth can sometimes be cumbersome. So because if you do the program as intended, to take it slide by slide, and you can say repeat back, and you write what you got out of it, okay? And your takeaway, what that really meant to you, okay? And you keep going slide for slide. And then at some point in that slide, they're usually at the end, are the tasks. And then do your tasks. And that can be all for module 1, session 2. Then you move on to module 1, session 3. In the meantime, every time you find a word that needs to go into your dictionary of power, throw it in that separate file.
Right.
So because I'm just saying, when you come, on to make the most of your time, you'll have everything right there, almost in a not chronological sequence, but a sequence of how the program is laid out.
Linear sequence. Yeah.
Linear sequence. So you got your slide by slide, the first slide, your repeat back. And of that slide, you put, this is my takeaway. And then you do the next thing for the next slide, the next slide. And then if a task comes up, put a bold letter. It says, this is my task. And actually do those tasks there. In the meantime, when all these awesome conceptions come up for the dictionary of power, put them over in that separate file. So when you come on, it'll come off as a much smoother transition. If you want to, it's just a suggestion. You don't have to do it that way, but otherwise you're flopping these files back and forth and going, okay, I got to flip over that file. You're going to go into that one. And then you're going to have to figure out where you were.
Right.
I've got like 100,000 words in my way of impeccability file. It becomes enormous. Enormous.
Wow.
So Sue, you're saying, just to recap what you're saying, you make your category tree, your folder, you do it session by session, and then and then you say, okay, this is module 1, session 1, and then you go through in that folder. You've got slide 1, and then under slide 1, you've got your repeat back and your takeaway, and then you continue in that format, right? So you instead of having
like folders within folders,
correct.
Yeah. I just call it, the way of impeccability, and mine are just keep going. And I put it in, do you have a Mac or a PC?
Yeah, I got a Mac.
Yeah. So I put everything in notes, in the note file.
Yeah, Erica does also, yeah.
Yeah. And it's so much easier. Like if you need to reference something, have consistency. Like I wrote out module 1, session 2, and I put the name of it, which is, specific practices.
Right.
And I spelled it all out, because if I ever want to go back to that, I stay consistent. I write it out, or you can go M1 for module 1, S2 with the number.
Right.
But be consistent. Again, this is all part of what is really your strength here, is part of really, really building that foundation. Yeah. So get this on board for yourself in a good way.
Sue, maybe screen share your notes from module 1, session 1 of Way of Impeccability, so we can have a visual and see it.
Yeah. Yeah, originally I did the two separate ones. I did a section for takeaways, and then I did one for repeat backs, and it had me all over the place. I'm like, what are we doing today? And to flip those screens back and forth. So I just did,
Right.
see, let me pull one up here.
Yeah, again, it's each one does their things their own way, but it's good to see how others do.
Sure,
It gives us ideas, so that's useful. How about you, Beena? How do you do your notes? Or how are you? Beena's redoing her notes as well. Just organizing them, from when we way back when we very first started. So very cool.
Okay. So in the beginning, I was not actually keeping my notes in my laptop because I was using Chromebook and it was very limited memory.
Yeah.
And also that I was not organized. So that's why I was just so much used to write. So I was just writing down all my notes. And I have four notebooks I have, and every time like, okay, here and there and everywhere. So, okay, no problem. And some of my notes were in my Chromebook also. Okay, Chromebook is dead now, so a lot of notes are sleeping. But also because when me and Ryan, we were doing that in the beginning, there was no repeat backs. So our notes were mostly just our thoughts. Okay, but we were understanding. So we were just writing down in that way. So it was not really organized, though Sil was mentioning from the very beginning to make these 3 files, and we were doing this in that way. But it comes out that whenever someone asked me, of course, whatever I have as my takeaways, it's in my mind because it's so innate. It becomes so innate. But whenever someone asks about my notes, I always have to like, oh my God, from where to find it? Because module 1, session 1 is here, and also in the other notebook, and also in this some other pages. It is like that. It was a mess. So what I'm trying, because these guys are lucky, they have repeat backs and repeat takeaways and everything so organized. I'm doing the same again. So I'm doing files in my laptop, and in notes I'm using, and I'm doing that. So this is how I'm.
Yeah, I'll screen share a minute here. Let me see. Here's a screen share. Let me pull this down here. There's a screen share. You can see early, and again, there was a little adaptation down the road, but right out of the I saw the magnitude of this program and how many modules it were. And I thought, wow, if I don't stay with some consistency, how am I going to present myself with consistency? That's what, so can you see the screen?
Yes.
Let me move this over here. So again, like module 1, session 2, I chose to highlight them, the title there, and then each slide there, they were my takeaways and my my repeat backs on them. And then when a task came up, I actually wrote the words down of the task, because those words would be meaningless to me. Otherwise, there was another task. What are my goals and aims in regards to how you wish to be in change? And I would
writing
write
down the
all
question,
those
which is it's in session 2. It's highly recommended. So when you have this module 1, session 3, I would recommend, initially you just put the RB colon, and then you do your repeat back, and then you do, TA colon, and you do your takeaway, and then you go to the tasks. Just add in what is your repeat back. For Sue, she tended to combine them at this point already.
Exactly.
That's why they
So
all
it's like
together.
You had all your notebooks under each session.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
No, it's all under the same one. Like, see here, I called it, this was the file still says takeaway, but down here is WOI repeat backs. And I saw that, oh my God, I got to flip. Now I got to open up this screen, and now I got to go find where I'm at. I'm like, oh my gosh.
No, the idea is definitely, the idea definitely is to have it by the session. So your main file is called Wave Impeccability. And then the folders underneath that, the first level folders are the modules. And then you go into the sessions. And then in each session, you've got, in that folder, you start with a little subheading inside the folder, not as a folder heading, but inside. repeat back, takeaway, tasks, and then your dictionary of power. This is a standalone file.
Yeah, and I've been
see your dictionary of power, Sue.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been taking notes. Well, not similar to that, but like I'll write down module 1, session 1, and all that. But it's like my repeat backs, takeaways, and all my stuff is like all jumbled together.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Beena was doing it. So it's like everything gets lost because it's all.
Yeah. See, I have these other files, so I put Way of Impeccability and put all these different ones underneath it. But because I'm a facilitator, it's a little different. But you can take the Way of Impeccability, and instead of this one, what has changed my life, you can have module 1, session 1. You can break them all down. I chose to have one entire file of everything, just one after another, because lots of times we go back and say, well, what do we say here? Or you can go in and you can do a find on something with a word. But Dictionary of Power, how I broke it up here was even the intro. These were all the words that just fascinated me, that I thought were important to me. And again, yours will be different. Then when I went into module 1, session 1, Focus of Purpose was called, and the date that I did it. And boom, all the words that, so on and on and on. I mean, this file is quite lengthy. What's interesting was once that was all done in doing also the Mornis program, I took all those conceptions, alphabetized them through numbers, and then there was obviously, you know, abandon or acceptance or accountability could have came up 100 times. I had to take them, all the duplicates away. And now what I'm doing is actually taking and expanding the meaning for me. Yeah. So I've explained what alternative learning is, what anomalies are. Again, it's just another way for it to come into yourself and make it your own.
And that's part, and it'll come later. So the main core is here. Just simply take the way the program is set up on the website, and just duplicate that structure. And instead of the content for each session, you now just replace that content with your repeat backs, your takeaways, and then the tasks. That's it. Really. Very simple.
Yeah. And for me, each one of the paragraphs is a slide. You know, and I moved
like Robin actually numbers it.
She numbers hers, which is interesting. So if I want to follow along, she says we're on slide 10. I can just count over the slides. But you can do that and make it even more specific.
And I noticed for Robin too that when she goes back to the things, having the slide numbered helps.
Yes.
And at some point, I will try and add numbers to the slides themselves.
There you go.
It's a big project, but I will try and do that. Put that in. Because that will be helpful as well. So
yeah. So it's pretty fascinating, you know. But again, it all comes back to how organized, and that was one of your things, was organizing yourself. Start there. If you have to redo module 1, session 2, you know,
we can redo module 1,
very
session 1 too if you want. It's up to you, no problem.
Do what you choose, but that will be extremely helpful for you, I believe.
Yeah, I think I underestimated the size of this project here.
Yeah, and don't let it overwhelm you.
It's a slow business.
Right. Yeah, and it's those baby steps. So think of those as those baby steps. Okay, I need a file. Okay, do I need a sub file? And those little tiny baby steps, and then I'll make that in there. And you know, you can certainly contact me any time you want. And if you want any more information or help with that, I'd be more than happy to help you.
Probably, because you know, men, when you look at our handwriting, we tend to be a little sloppy, or we tend to write a little faster. You know, it's just like a man thing, I think, really.
Slow it down.
Yeah, like women's handwriting tends to be like.
I hear you, right?
Yeah, I don't know. And like women to be organized with their notes a little bit better. I always had women write all my papers for me in college, because I just didn't want to do it. And they were better at it. I'm like, you guys are really good. Why don't you just do it?
You can become good at it too.
Well, right.
Your own way. I guess do it in your own way.
Yeah, exactly. But since I never wanted to take the time to learn, now learn.
And that's the thing that's catching up on you now.
Yeah, the one thing I always hated to do and avoided is what I'm having to do now. Like I never liked English. I never liked writing. I never liked reading.
Oh yeah.
Like,
and now you love it. Now you love
it.
Well, I'm being forced to learn it almost.
You'll find the joy in it.
You do enjoy it. You do. It will stay.
Yeah, I'm learning. I'm going to learn to enjoy it.
Because think of it this way, Ryan. You talked about power. These notes are power. They are the foundation of your power. When you see your notes as your power and they are your notes, you are going to love your notes. You're going to love making them. You're going to love taking them. You're going to love organizing them because they are you.
So you'll find your own little system in there, but the reward of your ability to, your effort that you're going to put in here, the reward for you to express yourself and to learn more about yourself through the program, through sharing, is almost you can't even quantify it. You know.
No,
so
you can't really. Like, I'm having a hard time comprehending, like, even because it's so simple. It seems like such a simple thing that it's so easily overlooked.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I've done my whole life. It's just, well, why do you need to do that? Like, it just seems stupid. Almost.
For once,
because
don't skip anything. Don't skim over anything.
Yeah. Pacing and patience. Pacing and patience.
This, I'm becoming more aware now that keep it simple, stupid. When I took a business course in college, my teacher wrote down KISS on the board. That was the first thing she wrote down in the very first class. And that always stuck with me. That's probably the only thing I remember about business class. But it's like, what I've done, I've had the habit of skipping over all the simple, like, obvious things, because I feel like there's something deeper or like some other thing that I got to figure out or find or look for. But it was right in my face the whole time. I just didn't slow down and take the time to see it.
Exactly.
The moreness in the mundane, the moreness in the sublime. It's always there. It's not just those exciting big things that have moreness to them. It's the simple things. It's really
no big
beautiful.
Things. There are no little things when it comes to what we're doing here.
Exactly.
They're
all important. Yeah.
So what I feel that because Ryan is in construction business and he do that every single day, laying the foundation is something like because no really exciting stuff, but this is the most profound stuff. And Ryan, you are doing that, like doing this every day. It is just like, okay, it's a boring stuff. Okay, pay, just spend
it's profound stuff.
File and just putting titles on that, and that's it. After that, he's just putting in trees. Do that. That's it.
Well, yeah, because it's not like glamorous, because you don't see the foundation. It's underneath the house, and it's usually surrounded by dirt. But this is the fascinating thing to me. It's the single most expensive thing.
Exactly.
Because expensive. Yeah.
Yeah,
the foundation.
Most important.
Yes.
Yeah, literally, we tell people how much money it's going to be to do the foundation, and they're like, wow, like, I got the roof, you know, to do the roof, how much that'll be, how much to do the electric, plumbing, you know, all these other things, the kitchen, the remodeling stuff. But then the foundation, when it comes to that, they're like, wow, that's like so expensive.
Same
But,
here. Same here.
and I feel bad sometimes because I'm like, yeah, we're just going to cover it up. You know, you're not even going to see it. Take your money.
It's the most important. The most important.
Yeah, just you're taking your money and you're just burying it.
So you got to take your time and do it right, in other words. And that's a very good place for us to end on, because we've got to, you know,
Yes.
our time is up.
Another session. Yeah.
It's very,
Yeah. So if you need help, just reach out. You can reach out through Messenger or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
You wanna
After
go-
I get with work today, because I really need to get organized with my notes.
It's critical.
Okay.
It's critical.
fantastic. And again, you can start and restart as many times as you like. This is no problem.
Yeah.
The starting is important, and doing it right is important.
After
So,
I get all reorganized, I think I'll do that, and I'll just incorporate my notes I already have into what I get
Sure.
again.
Perfect.
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 Brilliant. All right. Say hello to Janelle and the kids for us.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give her a hug for us, please. So,
Oh, yes.
Okay.
very cool. I'm assuming
good
she's
day.
around there somewhere. So hello, Janelle. So,
Yeah, she escaped somewhere. I don't know where she went.
brilliant. All right.
All right.
Well,
Have a great day,
we'll
Ryan.
see you next time.
You
See you next
too.
week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Now.
Bye.